You're listening to the Life with Old Dogs podcast, and I'm your host, Dawn Mimnaugh, primary caretaker of all of our wonderful senior German Shepherds right here at Woody's Place Senior German Shepherd Sanctuary. Hey there, folks. It's Dawn bringing you the last episode of Season 4 for the Life with Old Dogs podcast. This past season, we took a closer look at degenerative myelopathy. We brought on several guests this season. We brought on the fine folks of Shade Out DM. I will be sure to include their information and everybody else's information in the show notes of this post. However, they are included in each episode. So we spoke with the fine folks of Shade Out DM. They're wonderful folks who are trying to shine a light on degenerative myelopathy in dogs in general. I think they primarily focus on corgis because Tawny, she had a corgi who had degenerative myelopathy. Tawny is the founder of Shade Out DM. But of course, degenerative myelopathy doesn't discriminate. It does affect corgis, but it affects many other breeds as well, including German Shepherds. So they are out there working their tails off, trying to shine a spotlight on degenerative myelopathy to raise awareness. And they also raise funds to support research. To find out more about degenerative myelopathy and hopefully someday find a cure. And they also partner with ALS groups because degenerative myelopathy is similar to ALS in people. There's a lot of similarities. So hopefully if there is a cure for ALS down the road, then that would mean that there would be a cure, hopefully, for degenerative myelopathy. So they have tied the two in together. Very smart move. You can check out their episode. I believe they were episode number 2 for season 4. And again, I'll put that in the show notes at the end of this recording. Sorry about that. I had like a little tickle, probably a cat hair or something in my throat. Anyway, yeah, TMI, right? Okay. Then after that, we spoke with the fine folks of Dr. HempDog CBD oil. As you know, we are huge proponents of Dr. HempDog products. So we've said it numerous times, not all CBD oil is created equal. If you think you're going online and you're spending $10 on a bottle of CBD oil for your dog, it's probably snake oil in a bottle. Don't do it. We love Dr. HempDog because they're completely transparent with their product. First of all, their product is top notch. It's high grade CBD oil. They are transparent about their products, 100% transparent about their products, and you can even check out third party studies that back up their product. Addition to that, they are very customer service oriented. On their website, you can request a free 15-minute chat with one of their representatives, and I would advise anyone to do that. When you go on there, they're going to want to know all about your dog and why you're using the CBD oil so they can recommend which CBD oil you want to get and the appropriate dose to give your dog. They're going to check in with you in about a week's time to see what's going on. And if any adjustments need to be made, they're going to help you make those adjustments. So we use Dr. HempDog for lots of different things. Arthritis is number 1, elbow, hip dysplasia, number 2, cancer, number 3. We also use their behavior or anti-anxiety behavior formula, for any of our dogs who have anxiety, like Nona. And it has been a miracle worker for her. Now, just keep in mind that when I say miracle worker, I don't mean, oh my gosh, it cured her overnight. I don't mean that. I mean that it helps her focus enough that we may use other modalities in addition to the CBD oil to help her with her anxiety. So we use the CBD oil on a regular basis. When she's having a real bad day, there's a thunderstorm, fireworks, whatever's going on with her, we'll put on a thunder shirt. That helps as well. We incorporate massage, essential oils, and just good old-fashioned hugs and cuddles that really help her calm her nerves. So anyway, we spoke with them in the third episode. Again, dogs with degenerative myelopathy may start to exhibit anxiety because they know they're completely cognitive and they know that they're not able to get around physically as they once were. And then toward the end, they basically feel like they're, trapped inside of their body that's not working. So Dr. HempDog CBD oil is wonderful, wonderful for that, for helping with that aspect of degenerative myelopathy. And I would highly recommend it. And we even have a 10% off coupon for anybody who wants to try it. And it's indefinite. We'll give you the coupon code. You can use it as many times as you want. It's not a one-time deal. So check out episode 3 to hear about Dr. HempDog. We spoke with the founder, Mark Halprin, and he was just full of information, talked about why he got involved with CBD oil, what it meant to him, and helping dogs in need. So check it out. Then after that, I believe it was season 4. I hope I'm not off with these numbers here. Episode 4, season 4, we spoke with Mark Robinson of Walkin' Pets. That's WALKIN. There's no G at the end. Pets, PETS. And Mark just had a ton of information on all of his mobility assistance products for dogs and why he got started. And as many of you know, we are huge proponents of the Walkin' Pets wheelchair. We also have other wheelchairs as well, but 9 times out of 10, we're going to use the Walkin' Pets wheelchair. It's fully adjustable. I mean, obviously, you have to get the correct size for your dog, but once you get it, it's adjustable. You can make tweaks for your dog's size, for where they're at on their journey of degenerative myelopathy. Maybe they're able to use their legs some, so you can set the cart up for that. Maybe they're able to use their legs, not so much, and you can set the cart. I said cart, chair. I'm gonna snap my wrist there with a rubber band. Chair, not cart. But anyway, they're fantastic products. They stand behind their products. They have harness systems that work for dogs with mobility issues that then need to go in the cart, and the harness system, goes from just a little bit of help to a lot of help to, okay, now we need to go into the wheelchair and we still need the harness on. It's a whole system, and I would strongly recommend checking that out. So, of course, Walkin' Pets is going to help any dog with degenerative myelopathy through their journey, but not just dogs with DM. Other reasons as well. Maybe there's an injury. Maybe a dog was hit by a car and needed assistance, or there was a surgery of some sort and needed assistance, or arthritis, or something along those lines. They have a ton of products, and I'm sure there's something on there for your dog if he has mobility issues. So again, I'll be sure to include their information in the show notes of this podcast episode. And lastly, we spoke with Bubba's Buddies, the fine folks of Bubba's Buddies, and so we spoke with Molly Cook from Bubba's Buddies. Molly and her husband created Bubba's Buddies because they have a boxer who developed degenerative myelopathy, and they had no clue what was wrong with him. They went through different testing, just like everyone else does pretty much, went through different testing, process of elimination, and then they were pretty surprised to find out that there was not a whole lot of research with, let's just say, definitive answers. And that frustrated them. They wanted more for Bubba and any other dog that may have degenerative myelopathy. They wanted more tangible information and hopefully a cure as well. So they started Bubba's Buddy in honor of their dog Bubba, who is he's still here and he's over there with them, and he likes to chase chickens in his wheelchair. There I go again, wheelchair, just like our Jared used to do here. So they have also partnered with ALS groups, and they have also partnered with 4 different universities to fund studies for degenerative myelopathy, just like Shade Out DM, to hopefully be able to secure tangible information about the disease and hopefully one day find a cure. So what they're doing is they are providing funding for dogs to participate in studies with the 4 universities. And I'll be sure to include the information about the 4 universities in the show notes. And the dog has to undergo testing before they can be a participant in the studies, such as blood work, diagnostic imaging, and things of that nature. And unfortunately, that costs money, and not a whole lot of people have the kind of money that it requires to get that testing done just for the dog to participate in the study. So that's what Bubba's Buddies they're doing. They're trying to raise $100,000 for so many dogs to participate in these studies. This way the dogs can go get the testing done at their veterinarian office or a veterinarian hospital to participate in these studies. So it's a really worthy cause. And again, I'll include the information in the show notes, and please, if you can, support the cause so we can hopefully someday find a cure for DM. All right, so let's get back to Woody's place and dogs that we have with degenerative myelopathy. Currently, right now, we don't have any residents in our care with degenerative myelopathy. Unfortunately, we just lost Prince last week. This episode is actually 1 week late, and that's why. We lost Prince. He came to us on April 4th, 2021, and we knew he had degenerative myelopathy. We agreed to take him regardless. He still had mobility, even though he wasn't walking or running, with grace. He was still able to get around quite well. We noticed over the last year plus that he was with us, obviously, he started to decline, was having trouble getting up. His back end would sway to one side and pull him down. He became more cantankerous if another resident would pass by as he was laying on his bed, because they get that way. They get that way once their mobility starts to become depleted. Perhaps they're afraid another dog's going to fall on them. I really don't know. But I've noticed that if they're laying on their bed and another dog passes by, they may, grumble a little bit or lift their lip and show their teeth or something like that. And that's pretty much how Prince was getting. Now, Prince didn't actually succumb to degenerative myelopathy. He still had some time. He wasn't even in a wheelchair. He really didn't even need a harness just yet for degenerative myelopathy. Unfortunately, Prince was loaded with arthritis. We had diagnostic imaging done, so we know firsthand he was loaded, the poor guy. His spine and hips were riddled with arthritis. It was undeniable based on the diagnostic imaging and the way that he maneuvered his body. Unfortunately, that's pretty much what ended his life. He really had a couple of days that were just bad, like 4 days that were bad, and he was down and he couldn't get up. I actually did end up putting him in a harness and even tried putting him in a Walk-In Pets wheelchair, and it was awful. It was awful. He was clearly in pain. So degenerative myelopathy really doesn't create pain, but that doesn't mean that the dog's not feeling pain, because they may have other things going on in their body, such as arthritis. So we took him to the vet and we discussed our options, and there really wasn't much. So we opted to give him peace because it wasn't going to get any better, and it had gotten worse pretty quickly, as a matter of fact. So DM didn't take him. It was really arthritis and some disc issues in his back that ended Prince's life. We've had other dogs with degenerative myelopathy. So when we get a dog with degenerative myelopathy, the way we go about caring for them is we try to provide them with lots of therapy, whether it be water or, hydrotherapy. We haven't really tried acupuncture, although I know there are people who swear by it. I'm not really sure I'm a huge proponent of it. So we haven't really tried that. We have tried light therapy. That seems to offer a little bit of some comfort. Massage is another. I mean, even if it doesn't help with degenerative myelopathy, it's helping their muscles. Deep tissue massage, it's helping them, and they really do seem to enjoy it for the most. There are some that don't, and we don't push it. Hydrotherapy seems to be the go-to because it's natural for them to walk. A lot of them like to be in water. So, of course, the combination of the two seems to be the golden ticket. And again, it's not going to cure degenerative myelopathy. It may not even slow the progression. It may slow the progression somewhat, but basically it builds up the muscles in the body to, I guess, assist the dog further along with degenerative myelopathy. So I guess in a way, it does slow the progression a little bit. But that's another thing that Molly Cook and I talked about. Of course, there's these options, therapies, but do they really work? Well, how do we know? Because the dogs can't tell us. But it does seem to offer them some comfort, so we will utilize those different therapy modalities. Other tricks of the trade, I cannot stress this enough. They need an orthopedic dog bed. They need an orthopedic dog bed, no question about it. And I know they're not cheap. We use big Barker dog beds, and they're a few $100s for a dog the size of a German Shepherd. They are worth their weight in gold. They come with an awesome warranty. There's an outer cover that's washable, and the dogs really love laying on it. There is an inner cover. It would be like equivalent to your bed and having some sort of covering for your box spring and mattress. So it's equivalent to that. It's easy on, easy off. There's a zipper, so it's super easy. So both can be washed, no problem. The orthopedic bed itself, it is so darn comfortable. I get on it. I'll get on it and lay down with one of the dogs. And really, there is enough room for me. And I'm not very big. I'm only like 5'2", so I'm not very big. But there's plenty of room for me to get on the bed with one of the German Shepherds, and I can just like lay down with them and pet them and cuddle with them, and they seem to like it. But I'm telling you, not a bone on my body touches the floor when I'm on this orthopedic bed, and that's exactly what you want. If you have a bed for your dog, especially your dog with degenerative myelopathy, and you kneel down on it and put your elbows down on it, if your elbows and your knees, you can feel the floor, that's a problem. You don't want that bed for your dog. Think about how much time a dog with degenerative myelopathy spends laying on their bed. So a lot. It's a lot, folks. So you definitely want to make sure that they have a quality orthopedic dog bed so that their body, it's not getting bed sores, they're not uncomfortable, and they can spend time on that bed and you can feel good about it. All right, other things we use, harnesses. Of course, Walkin' Pets has a harness system that you can utilize from the first, inkling that there may be trouble all the way through to the wheelchair, we have that and we will utilize it. However, in the beginning, we prefer the Blue Dog Help 'em Up harness. It just seems to be a little bit easier to use, and it's not quite as bulky. So we like the Blue Dog Help 'em Up harness in the beginning when they're showing signs and they need help, like getting up from a sitting position or something along those lines. As time goes on and we're really supporting them more than the harness, then we switch over to the Walking Pets harness because eventually, not too long after that, they're going to be going in the wheelchair and the harness actually clips right into the wheelchair. So that's like huge. I didn't even know they had that harness. And oh God, I would just struggle so bad with the Blue Dog Help 'em Up harness. Then I'd get them in the Walking Pets wheelchair. Then I'd have to slip off the Blue Dog Help 'em Up harness because it doesn't fit in the Walking Pets wheelchair. Then we'd go out for a walk or do what we do. Then it was get the dog out of the Walking Pets wheelchair, get them back in the Blue Dog Help 'em Up harness. Oh my God, it was just such a nightmare. So I'm just incredibly grateful that Walking Pets has this harness system that can be incorporated right into one of their wheelchairs. Because as much as you want to help your German Shepherd or dog with degenerative myelopathy, you also have to keep yourself in mind. And you are a caretaker of this dog. You are a full-fledged caretaker, and you have to take care of yourself, especially your back, or else you're going to be of no use to your dog. Other things we use for our residents here who may have degenerative myelopathy are a good pair of boots for the back feet. Walking Pets also has them, and we do have them. Sometimes they work out good for us. Other times it's hard keeping them on the back feet. So we end up using like a vet wrap. We'll put the boots on, the booties on, and we put vet wrap around the top where the ankles are to keep the boots in place. So what the boots do, or shoes, whatever you want to call them, foot coverings, they protect the dog's rear feet when they knuckle under. And when they knuckle under, then of course the top of their paw is now on the bottom and their nails are like pointing backwards. That's knuckling under. And if you're in an area unlike ours, we're in a rural area. It's nothing but grass here. Our dogs rarely ever see blacktop or concrete unless we're at a park or going to the vet or going to Tractor Supply. Other than that, on a regular basis, it's grass. It's very lush green grass here because it rains a lot. But I'm grateful for that because their nails, their knuckles don't get scraped up. So if you have a dog with degenerative myelopathy and they're knuckling under, you need to get a good pair of foot coverings for them to protect their knuckles, because if you don't, they're going to get scraped up so bad that they're going to bleed. I'm telling you, they're going to end up bleeding, and that could, number one, it's painful. Number two, it could lead to serious infection. So you need to protect them and make sure they're covered. There are also these little sticky things. I don't really know what they're called. I'm sorry. I'll find the information. I'll put them in the show notes. And it's for when your dog with degenerative myelopathy he can still get up, but he has a little bit of trouble on hard surfaces like linoleum or hardwood or tile flooring. And you can literally put them on the pads of his feet, and they give him traction to get up off the floor. I've seen them. People have recommended them. We don't use them. What we do instead, but that would be a lot of sticky things on a lot of balls for us. So what we do is, because we have floors, like I just said, linoleum, tile, and hardwood, we use a lot of area rugs and a lot of rug runners. And we'll even use yoga mats or Rubbermaid makes this it's sort of like a rubber shelf liner. You can get it at Walmart. I've gone and bought rolls of that. It comes in like 8 or 10 feet, and just unroll it and then tape it down to my floor so that any dog who has mobility issues, including degenerative myelopathy, but they can still get around, they use them. They use them because that's traction for them, and they can get up easily. I really like the Rubbermaid shelf liner because it's easy to wash. I mean, I just throw it in a sink. I'll just pick it up off the floor, take the tape off, pick it up off the floor, and I'll throw it in a sink with some bleach water and clean it that way, and then hang it out on the line to dry and clean the floor in the meantime, and then put it back down with new tape. And it's fantastic. Eventually it gets a little chewed up from their nails. But when it starts looking a little ratty, big deal. I throw it out and I go to Walmart and I get more. It truly does help. And that's really what it's about. It's aiding your senior German Shepherd with degenerative myelopathy or other mobility issues. It's helping him still be independent and get around to the best of his ability. So strongly recommend those. All right. Now, when you're going out, you're going to the vet, you're going to the park, you're going to hydrotherapy, just going for a ride, whatever it is you want to do, or even when you're in the house and maybe your senior German Shepherd, he's allowed up on the sofa or the bed, you absolutely can't let him try to get up himself, in and out of a vehicle, on and off the sofa, on and off the bed. So what we do is, if we have a senior German Shepherd resident here who they're still real strong in the front end, if they can lift their front end up, we basically just hoist their back end up, just, like bear hug them and around their groin area and lift them up. And that works well. Further along in degenerative myelopathy, then that becomes a little bit more of a challenge, and we have 2 stretchers. One that's a solid stretcher that you could actually put a child on. We'll use that for completely incapacitated dogs, and then we also have it's like a stretcher hammock that we bought from Walk-In Pets. And it's great. So you basically, it's totally flexible, and you get the dog on top of it. You lay it on the floor, you get the dog on top of it, and there's 6 handles, 2 on each corner and then 2 on each side. And so it does require 2 people, and basically you wrap the dog up like a burrito in this hammock or a taco, and just carry him out to the vehicle or up on the sofa or, up on the bed or whatever. So you feel good knowing that your dog can still do these things that he wants to do, and he's safe while you're doing it, and so is your back. So yeah, that's a good one too. Check it out, and I'll make sure to include that information about that hammock in the show notes. All right. If your dog still has some mobility and he can do it, Walk-In Pets also has, it's like a step, they're steps, but it's really they're like platforms. I forget what they are, 4 or 5 different steps, but they're big and they're square. And the material that they have on top, it's like a rug. So it's gives a lot of traction for your senior German Shepherd with mobility issues or very early on degenerative myelopathy. So you would want to incorporate something like that as well. Again, if you even have any sort of inkling that there's mobility issues, you don't want your dog jumping. You don't want him jumping off your deck. You don't want him jumping up into your truck or onto your bed, sofa, nothing like that. You don't want him doing anything along those lines, even though he most likely thinks he still can. Aren't we all like that? 54-year-old trapped in I'm 25 years old in the mind, trapped in a 54-year-old body, right? Now, as the disease starts to progress and they lose ability to sense that they're going to the bathroom, quite often they become fecal incontinent. While they're on their beds, you need to have something underneath them, whether it be disposable potty mats or something along those lines. We typically don't use them. I'm not a big fan of just buying stuff like that just to throw out. So there are other mats that are washable that you can use. We love Millie mats. It's Millie mats, and I'll include that in the show notes too. They're washable. They're all natural. They're soft. They're not going to be underneath your dog who has degenerative myelopathy, and they're going to be uncomfortable and scratchy or whatever. They're not. They're super soft. And if they have an accident, even if they pee on them accidentally, no big deal. It gets, the pee actually gets absorbed into the mat. So it keeps it away from your dog's back end, and it keeps it off the bed as well. Poop's a bit of a different story. It's obviously going to protect the bed, but you're going to have to clean it up, as soon as you smell it to keep your dog as clean as possible. But the mats, we love them. Again, totally washable. We've had the same few mats probably, I want to say probably for about 4 or 5 years now. So and they've seen a lot of dog butts, let me tell you. And we still have them, and they're totally usable. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. So you want a good mat underneath your dog, in between your dog and his bed, if he's fecal incontinent or if he's having urinary problems, some leakage, or just full on peeing the bed. All right. And that brings me to the next thing. If there's an accident, obviously you're going to have to clean your dog. So if it's not a big deal, you can use some sort of a wipe. There's lots of really good dog grooming wipes out there that are organic and natural and fragrance free, and they're not going to harm your dog in any way, because you're going to be the one having to take care of his skin, making sure he doesn't have, urine burns on his skin, or does he have bed sores or hot spots, anything like that could be happening because he's laying so much. So invest in a good baby wipe. If not, you're going to have to, if it's worse than that, obviously you're going to have to clean him. Again, I would recommend using a shampoo that is natural and organic and fragrance free or lightly fragranced, keeping his skin in mind. And if you do end up having to bathe your dog, you're going to have to dry him completely. You can't put him back on his bed damp, not even damp. You don't want to put him on his bed wet, but you certainly don't want to put him back on his bed damp, because then he's just going to be laying in it. And I don't know if you have longer hair and you ever washed your hair and just went to bed with a wet head, it certainly doesn't feel good. And obviously your dog with degenerative myelopathy can't do anything about that. So you are his advocate. If he unfortunately has a mess, diarrhea or something like that, and needs a bath, you got to make sure he's completely dry before he goes back on his bed. The other thing about the bed is, if you're further along with degenerative myelopathy and he's in that bed quite a bit, you're going to have to reposition him. You're going to have to try to get him up and move him a little bit, or even get him up to stand for a little bit and reposition him so he's not laying in the same position all the time. They do this in nursing homes, right? They don't let their patient lay in the same position, or they shouldn't anyway, because that's how bed sores start. And let's just face it, it's just not good for the body to, not move and stay in the same position all the time. You need to, get some juices flowing. So get them up, even if it's just a walk around the kitchen island, or even if it's just a stand. We've done that a lot toward the end, where we're just going to stand here. And that, can help them feel better. When they get to that point too, when they're on their bed, we try to incorporate things to keep their minds active. We love licky mats or licky puzzles. I'll include that in the show notes as well. So basically it's just a silicone mat. You could put different foods on it or different foods in it. They could, lick it off. And it takes them a while to lick it off, so they actually have to work at it. Or there's others that are puzzles where they have to find, treats or puzzle pieces in the puzzle pieces. So that's good. There's a blog post on our Life with Old Dogs blog, and Jared was the best. Jared I mean, he was just the best. He had degenerative myelopathy. He took to the cart right away because sometimes, dogs don't take to it right away. Jared got in that wheel cart and was like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for this. And he just took off. He ran around so fast in that wheel cart that he would flip over and look like a turtle on his back and wait for me to come rescue him. And as soon as I would flip him over, upright him correctly, he would take off again. It was crazy. But when he got toward the end and he was on his bed quite a bit, really didn't have the strength to pull himself around in the wheelchair. If I said wheel cart again, forgive me, ADHD brain. I would play with him on his mat, on his bed. I would throw a ball up in the air and he would catch it and chomp on it for a little bit or squeak it or whatever. We would get a tug toy and we would tug, he would tug to the best of his ability. Puzzle mats he loved, the snuffle mat he loved. That's this thing that it's like a bunch of material, kind of looks like a shaggy mop sort of, and it's a mat and you hide treats and kibbles in there and the dogs have to find it. But the game he loved the most was I literally just took 3 red silo cups, put them in front of him and put treats under one of them, shuffled around like an old magic trick, and he had to find which one the treats were under. And he knew, and he would flip the cup over and he'd gobble down his treats, just so proud of himself. So he loved that. And I'll be sure to include that blog post in the show notes of this episode as well. So keeping your German Shepherd, your dog with degenerative myelopathy, mentally active is really, really important when they really can't get around too well any longer. Okay. So they have the wheelchair, they're outside, they're zooming all around, they're super excited about it. What about when they're inside? Can you actually have a wheelchair for your dog inside? Do you have enough room in your house? If you do, that's fantastic. A lot of folks don't. We don't. I mean, it's a big house, but it's not like an open concept. If you have an open concept, that's great. But, a lot of folks don't. So it's hard to have a big dog in a wheelchair inside. So what can you do there? Again, the things I mentioned, the harness, ramps, or steps with, helping your dog up on the sofa with steps and assistance, or that hammock, or Walkin' Pets also has a product called the drag bag. And basically, what it is, it's this bag, kind of reminds me of like a giant gym bag or laundry bag, sort of, but much nicer. And you put the dog's back end into it. And the front end, it has this beautiful vent like on the chest, and then it clips around the dog up top. So it's secure. Your dog's now in this drag bag. His back end's now in this drag bag. His front legs are completely free, and this bag is secure up around his neck area. And he can pull himself around the house in this drag bag without damaging the parts of his body that aren't working, right? Because they can't feel it. They don't know what's happening to their body. So if they're scraping over something hard, or they're going fast and they're bumping into something really hard, this bag protects them from hurting their body, the parts of their body that aren't working on their journey with degenerative myelopathy. So we've used that once. We used it with Gabriel when he was here with us several years back. And he had no problem. Just got around like it was nobody's business. So I'll be sure to include the information for that in the show notes as well. All right. So I've covered a lot. One other thing that I want to touch base on is proper nutrition. Nutrition for your dog with degenerative myelopathy and whole food. I'm talking real whole food, home cooked food. It's no secret that we do a lot of home cooking here. We do like an 80-20 split or a 70-30 split, where some days they're getting all home cooked. Other days it's a mix of a high quality kibble and home cooked. And some days I even cheat and they just get kibble and high quality canned food because nobody wants to cook all the time, right? But the point is you want them to have a nutritious diet and incorporate real food in their diet. There's nothing wrong with a high quality kibble, although I would love to get away from it eventually. But it has to be a higher quality kibble. You don't want to be doing food off the grocery shelf store. You definitely need to research food a little bit better. One website that I would recommend looking into is dogfoodadvisor.com. I'll put that in the show notes as well. They're not owned by anyone, and basically they rate dog food. And they tell you exactly what's in it and how much of what's the ingredient is in there. So they also if you sign up for their newsletters, you're also alerted to dog food recalls right away. So dogfoodadvisor.com, check that out. Make sure your dog is eating a high quality dog food. Throw in some real food. Ground beef, ground turkey, brown rice, sweet potatoes, some vegetables. There's nothing wrong with carrots, peas, something along those lines if they're not allergic. Okay, you got to make sure they're not allergic to these things. Definitely bone broth. Oh my goodness, can't say enough good things about bone broth. It's good for people. It's good for dogs. We also use a lot of turmeric. We'll make golden paste with coconut oil and turmeric and black pepper, and we'll cook that up, and we'll put that in their food as well. That's a great anti-inflammatory. So we use a bunch of different things that are human grade for the residents here at Woody's Place, particularly those with degenerative myelopathy, cancer, any sort of disease, because the body needs to be nourished. It needs to be nourished, and they're fighting an uphill battle, and you want them to be as healthy as they can possibly be to be with you as long as they can. And that brings me to the final thing. When is it time to say goodbye? So we get asked this all the time. How do you know when it's time to say goodbye? It's different. It's different for every dog. There is no cut and dry answer. I can't sit here and say, well, when. It's no. You can't do that. Then there are other folks who say, well, you'll know. Well, that's not necessarily true either, especially with degenerative myelopathy, because you're looking at your dog, their body's crapped out on them, but their mind is completely fine. And they're looking at you like they always do every other day. And how the heck do you determine when it's time when that's happening? So what we do is we determine how many good days are they having and how many bad days are they having. And when the bad days start outweighing the good days, that's when we know it's time. And when I say good days and bad days, I don't just mean, they're completely cognitive and they're looking at you like they're completely cognitive, because they can still be having bad days, even though they're completely cognitive. What I mean is when their body is failing them so, they're barely getting up off their bed. They're not able to get up off their bed. You are really getting them up off their bed. You are really maneuvering them, and you're using all of your body to do so. They're defecating right where they lay. They don't even realize they're defecating right where they lay. They're panting. They're stressed. They don't really seem interested in what's going on around them anymore because they're just so stressed. These are some pretty good indicators that it's time. And one thing that I've learned over the course of dog rescue, and I've been doing dog rescue since 2004, it's better to say goodbye a day too soon than a day too late. And degenerative myelopathy can turn pretty quickly. And the end stage is respiratory failure, and it's not a pretty sight. And you don't want to get to that point. So it's definitely better to still have a little bit, just a little bit of doubt in your mind. Like, is it the time? And have it done then be like, oh my gosh, it was way past time. My dog suffered and I feel awful now. Okay. It's better to have that pinch of doubt. Go to your vet, talk with them about it, listen to what your vet is saying. If you trust your vet, listen to what he's saying with open ears. And it's really hard. I know it's really hard because you love your dog and it's a very, very emotional time and you don't want to say goodbye and you just want things to get better. But regardless of whether it's degenerative myelopathy, when it's time to say goodbye, the most selfless thing we can do is push our feelings aside and give our dog peace when we know there's nothing else we can do for them, when we know nothing else can be done to make them whole again or well or even somewhat okay. Then it's time to say goodbye. And that brings me to my next thing. Woody's Place, we are going to start offering some courses. And one of the courses is going to be just about that, about end of life decision making. And we are also going to be opening up a small business in regard to grief counseling, pet grief counseling. So if you're interested in that, send us a message and we will give you more information, but it will be made known probably, I think, by the end of August, maybe the middle of August. All right, folks, that is it. I'm actually going on vacation. That's it. Last podcast, and I'm going on vacation. I go away once a year. I make myself go away. I don't want to. I do and I don't. I know the dogs are in great care. Mr. Woody's Place doesn't go away with me on vacation. He's here and then he'll go away and we kind of take turns. We have an awesome team here taking care of the residents while I'm away, so they're not left alone or anything like that. So I take a lot of comfort in that, but I still stress and kind of worry while I'm away. But I make myself go away because I need it, because caregiver burnout is a real thing and I don't want to get burnout. So I make myself go away and go see some sights and go visit my son and his family out in Washington State, get a breath of fresh air, and then I come back rejuvenated and ready to go. So that's what's happening. I'll post a couple pictures on Facebook. All right, folks, that's it. That's it for season 4. Again, I'm going away on vacation, but we're still going to be taking a break here. I believe like 5 weeks, and then we'll be back again with season 5 of the Life with Old Dogs podcast. Until then, be well.